A lot of people are going to say that this air ball from LeBron James was very telling.
Air ball on a three. Mavericks control it. 20 seconds left.
Not me. I'd say that LA's performance against the New Orleans Pelicans was much more telling. While the Pelicans are an ascending team with everything to prove, I don't think that the Lakers should be getting run off of their home floor by teams beneath them in the standings with only 20 or so games left in the season. I understand that anything could happen on any given night, but I truly believe that the Lakers' performance versus the Pelicans was one of the worst performances that I'd seen this season. Crypto Arena was so quiet that you could hear a pin drop. If you guys know Los Angeles basketball, you'd know that that is definitely not the norm. It's so crazy. The Pelicans-Lakers game wasn't one of those games where the score looked a lot worse than it actually was. It was ugly, and the score reflected that. You know what else was ugly? The aftermath on social media. The Pelicans Twitter admin started going bonkers after this game. While we're on the topic of social media, has anybody seen the Westbrook memes? Don't get it wrong. Westbrook's been struggling and I feel bad for him, but the reality of the situation is that he has to play better. Since January 9th, the Lakers are 6-15. LeBron James has been doing LeBron James things, and it just hasn't been enough. February 27th, a really interesting report dropped. The report stated that LeBron James is still good, but he can't carry you anymore. In the comments below, I'm interested in knowing if you guys think that that report is true. Do you guys think that there's a star in the league that could have carried the Lakers to a top 5 seed this season if they were in place of LeBron James? This video, we have a ton to talk about, but before we go any further, let's get a word from our sponsor. I want to give a major shout out to Albert for sponsoring this video. For those of you that don't know what Albert is, it's basically like banking but on a completely different level. Albert is free to sign up for and is super easy to use. They won't do anything like charge you $35 in overdraft fees. Check it out, with Albert you can get up to $250 whenever you need if you qualify. The best way to find out if you qualify is by downloading the app yourself. Let's be real, managing money can be tough, and a little help can go a long way. This is where Albert's Genius team comes in. They will help devise a plan for you and answer any questions that you have. Guys, it gets even better. When you get paid on your Albert card, you could get your paycheck up to 2 whole days early. For anybody interested in Albert, just click the link in the description box or go to albert.com/decoop, whichever your preference. That's albert.com/decoop. For a limited time, when you open a checking account with Albert and connect the qualifying direct deposit, you'll get $150. I don't know about you guys, but if you ask me, I think that's tough to beat. I want to give a major shout out to Albert for sponsoring today's content and supporting my channel. In my last Lakers video, I asked you guys the question, what would turning this season around look like for the Los Angeles Lakers? And while I didn't really have an answer at the time, I think I have an answer now. I think it looks like effort. I think it looks like caring. I think it looks like diving for loose balls. I know this is going to sound like an oversimplification, but there have been way too many instances this season where other teams flat out wanted it more than Los Angeles. From top to bottom, I think the Los Angeles Lakers leadership has a long ways to go. I think LeBron James is great at a lot of things. This guy is a monster. We're talking about one of the best players to ever play the game of basketball. That being said, I think there are times where his leadership could use a little bit of work. Now, I know as fans, we don't see everything that goes on behind the scenes, but I mean, let's be real. The questionable body language, the not getting back, the missed rotations on defense can go a very long way. A few seasons ago, Rondo had a great quote: "When guys are making the same mistakes over and over and over, it's hard to bite your tongue." But I tried to get LeBron James to focus on his body language. Those guys were looking at everything he did. If they missed 4 shots in a row and LeBron was making a face, it was crushing them. He was their Michael Jordan. They didn't want to let him down. But if LeBron said one thing positive to Brandon Ingram or Kyle Kuzma, they immediately were back to their old selves. Now, don't get it confused. The Lakers are much more than a few positive LeBron quotes away from being a much better team. From a basketball and statistical standpoint, LeBron's been amazing. This guy's 37 years old. Asking him to do more doesn't really seem fair. To be real with you guys, I think a lot of us take LeBron James performing at the level that he's performing at for granted, the same way that I feel that some people may have taken Rondo for granted. While Rondo has always been capable of getting stats, I'll be one of the first people to tell you that his impact has always gone far beyond the stat sheet. To this day, I'll sit here and tell you guys that he was a major part of the Lakers' most recent championship run. While we're on the topic of championships, it's a little ridiculous how many championships the Los Angeles Lakers actually have. If my favorite basketball team won a championship in my lifetime, it would probably feel like a dream. It would feel like something that was fake. With LeBron James winning his most recent championship in Los Angeles, I definitely thought that he would be on the list of players that would never get booed by Los Angeles. The turnover looked ugly, but I saw the vision. He wanted THT to slide down to the corner. Of course, the boos wouldn't just be because of this one turnover. The Lakers have seen far too many turnovers this season to boo because of one. Versus the New Orleans Pelicans, the Lakers had some of the worst turnovers that I'd ever seen. I promise that I'm not trying to speak in hyperbole this video. I mean, did you guys see this turnover by DeAndre Jordan?
Nearly took it away. DJ, look out! Look out! First row, second row, third row.
The third row couldn't.
Now, I'm not going to say the reason that he got cut was because of this turnover, but if it was, I wouldn't even be mad. DeAndre Jordan being a starter for the Los Angeles Lakers this season honestly helps to put things into perspective. February 28th, the Lakers would waive DeAndre Jordan and sign DJ Augustine. Vogel would say this about the signing: "We wish DeAndre well, and the decision to let him go came down to him feeling he could have had a bigger role elsewhere. Vogel believes Augustine will add some much needed playmaking." Guys, what do you think of the DJ Augustine signing? I'm going to be honest with you guys. I like DJ Augustine for what he's been as a player, especially because my guy is from New Orleans. But at this stage of his career, is he exactly what the Lakers need? I don't really think so. Now, this isn't to say that he won't help the Lakers out. I just think the Lakers are at this stage where they should look into making their roster younger in any way possible. For example, the Lakers picking up Wenyen Gabriel is probably a pretty solid pickup just for the fact that he's a hustle player. He's somebody that's under 25 and has a lot to prove at the NBA level. Teams like the Los Angeles Lakers shouldn't take hungry players for granted. Look what Stanley Johnson has been able to do. Look at what Austin Reeves has been able to do. While their numbers may not jump out at you, what they do is invaluable. Look, unfortunately, LeBron James is 37. There's a chance that this guy's not going to be hustling if things aren't going the Lakers' way. That's where a guy like Stanley Johnson, Wenyen Gabriel, and Austin Reeves can come in and make a play. I mean, you could take the Mavs game, for example. It felt like that game was lost until it wasn't. That's one thing that frustrates me so much with the Los Angeles Lakers. Like, yeah, they're currently not a good roster. Yeah, they're currently not a good team. Yet they do none of the things that questionable rosters or teams should do to compensate for being questionable. You know what really gets me is that as mediocre as the Lakers have been this season, I unfortunately believe that they have another level in them, and even if they don't, I know that LeBron James does. The unfortunate thing is that we might not see that level this season, just because there's a shot that the Los Angeles Lakers might miss the play-in tournament. If you ask me, Bron's performance this season has told us a lot. If you ask me, Bron's performance against the Dallas Mavericks told us a lot. There were a few instances where LeBron got switched on to Luka. Some people called this Luka hunting LeBron James. I'd call it Luka giving himself the ability to play one-on-one, knowing that at the time, LeBron James was one of the Lakers' best paint protectors and help defenders. I mean, we could say what we want about the defense, but at the end of the day, Luka Doncic is going to be Luka Doncic. He's going to knock down tough shots on good defense. That's what he's been doing basically his whole career. When Bron locks in, I think he still has the ability to be a good defender. He's definitely more than capable. While LeBron has had some disgusting scoring outputs this season, I think he's his most dangerous when he's able to play make, when he's able to get the entire team involved. As a matter of fact, that's when the Los Angeles Lakers are their most dangerous. While LeBron is averaging 6.3 assists this season, if you go back to the 2019-2020 season when the Lakers won it all, he averaged 10.2, and he also led the league in potential assists at 18.4. This season, LeBron James' potential assists are all the way down to 12.9. and that's not entirely LeBron James' fault. Versus the Mavericks, there was a set where the Lakers had 30% three-point shooters on one side of the floor, while the Mavericks were running a box and one on LeBron James. The result of the play was a turnover, as you could imagine. Anytime Dwight Powell picks up LeBron James beyond the three-point line, it should be an easy basket. Let me know down in the comments below if you guys think that the Lakers could miss the play-in tournament. Clicking the video on the screen right now is a great way to support my channel. I'm GetLikeCoop, bringing you guys the scoop until our next upload.